Halkidiki is a peninsula in northern Greece with a very diverse, biologically important natural landscape, combining mountain ecosystems and beautiful forests with amazing sea and beaches. Today, in several regions of northern Greece, Eldorado Gold Corp, a Canadian mining company based in Vancouver, has several mining projects in the works at various stages of exploration, permitting approval, and implementation. In Halkidiki, Eldorado Gold has already begun executing its large-scale mining project, destroying forest ecosystems in preparation for an open-pit gold mine. Eldorado Gold plans to extract 360 million tons of ore from Halkidiki, 10 times the amount that has been extracted in the last 2,500 years, in 100 times less time. Feeling dizzy yet? An open pit of 705 meters diameter and 220 meters depth will be created in the middle of the forest ecosystem of Skouries, on the largest aquifer of the region. For the Skouries open pit mine, the processing plant, and 2 tailings dams, 400,000 square meters of devastation are replacing a forest ecosystem. Eldorado Gold plans to extract 24,000 tons per day from Skouries using 6 tons of explosives. The environmental impact study states the region's character will change direction from one of agriculture and tourism to one of heavy industry. Left without any formal public consultation procedure for years, local communities petitioned universities and scientists to evaluate the impacts of such a huge project, and they got worrying answers. Eldorado's gold mining project requires drainage and fresh water use. The Skouries open pit mine is situated on top of the region's main aquifer. Is wasting water in huge amounts a wise decision? Ore dust of up to 4,000 tons per hour will be produced, with high concentration of heavy metals. More than 900 tons of far-reaching minute particles that accumulate in living organisms will be released each year into the atmosphere. Instead of preserving forest ecosystems intact, is it wise to fragment and pollute them in times of global warming? The soil will be acidified and polluted with heavy metals, rendering it unsuitable to sustain all life forms, plants and animals. Mining activities also put human health under great risk. People's livelihood in the region relies heavily on beekeeping, fishery, forestry, farming, and tourism. All are totally dependent on the ecosystem's well-being. With the help of scientists, local communities have realized the size of the destruction that comes along with the expansion of mining activities. We stand decided to speak out, to protect life and lives, our land base, the freedom to decide our way of life, the right to have a real future, free of devastation. It has been a long struggle with a history that goes back 2 decades, when another gold mining project was attempted in the area. What separates us from yesterday is the current socio-economic climate in which a total exploitation of all resources is being rammed down our throat as citizens of Greece and the European South. The Greek Prime Minister sternly stated that foreign investments will be promoted at any cost. Several myths have fueled public outrage. In reality, only nominal public consultation took place during the permitting process. Through municipal bodies that were not entitled to make decisions in December of 2010, as they had been replaced in a new reform of all local municipal authorities. Social consensus exists only in name, Society has been left out of the equation. In reality, the public is being asked to accept things on pure faith. The methodologies proposed have never been tested on an industrial scale. On the other hand, use of cyanide remains as best available technology at the European level. Can the real cost of a vast mining project, one that surpasses the carrying capacity of the land base, even be considered as an acceptable proposition? In reality, we've experienced nothing but a state incapable of enforcing environmental laws for decades. Nothing but a constant changeover of companies over the years here in Halkidiki. We've seen TVX, Kinross, European goldfields come and go over the same proposed expansion of mining activity, each one promising to clean up the mess the others left behind, at the real cost of even more mining projects. Eldorado Gold, based in Vancouver, took over mining operations of Elas Gold in February 2012, at a time when Greece was experiencing the full impact of a socio-economic shock doctrine as described by Naomi Klein. We have been paying the cost in more ways than one. Eldorado Gold speaks of legitimacy, but in practice systematically violates Greek and European laws and regulations. Eldorado Gold speaks of transparency. Nevertheless, the Canadian ambassador to Greece has tried hard to promote the company's interests while ignoring communities' protests. Is it not an ambassador's duty to deliver Greek public opinion to Canadian citizens? Eldorado Gold speaks of social responsibility. We've seen social cohesion come apart. Families, villages have been torn apart by their hiring tactics. Community life has been violated. Eldorado Gold speaks about wanting to be part of a community. We've experienced 400 company employees, all men, charging into the mountain forest in a takeover operation to clear all protesters out on the 20th of March in 2012. Eldorado Gold Corp speaks of partnership. We've experienced our right to enter any part of a whole mountain systematically violated. A violation enforced by private security and riot police, with brutal force, tear gas, and rubber bullets. Amnesty International has called for investigations repeatedly. We've seen a vicious attempt to criminalize a social struggle since the day machinery and equipment was destroyed at the forest mining site of Skouries in mid-February. A whole society being called on to offer witness, not arrested or charged. Whole communities experienced a systematic strategy of social terror for weeks on end. More than 150 men and women, even underage youth, undergoing detentions for many hours, intimidating, forceful, and illegally carried out interrogations. A gathering of DNA samples against the will of detainees. In early March, the small town of Ierissos underwent a full riot police attack from dawn to dusk. Central roads, homes, and even the high school were tear-gassed, all in the name of the law. The police investigations resulted in a list of 20 men, all facing general charges of serious criminal offenses. On the 10th of April, special police forces broke into 2 households in the middle of the night, tearing down doors and arresting 2 of the men in an unprecedented show of force. These 2 men are now temporarily in jail, awaiting trial. Legal teams and associations of lawyers make note of procedural arbitrariness and multiple violations of human and constitutional rights. Are the remaining 18 men on the list next in line? Whole communities' physical and mental health being pushed to its limits, all in the name of the law. We've experienced nothing but phases of strategic tactics. When one doesn't work, another one is born. At first, the voice of protest was simply ignored. Then, protesters were ridiculed as ecologizing peasants who simply do not recognize the gifts of modern mining and their own government's attempt to save them from a terrible economic crisis. Then we were slandered as poor blind pawns of the opposition party being used in their fight against the government. Then we were nothing but a vocal minority, and lately we're simply not the real population of Halkidiki. Although the voice of protest was silenced by the mainstream media, there were a few who listened, and of course nothing remained silent on the internet. The word has spread. Solidarity with a movement of people who resist the violation of every facet of their human rights, their lives, and livelihood has been growing steadily. You can fool some of the people sometimes, but not all of the people all of the time. For once, it's not only that we're not selling, but we're also not buying. We continue, relentless in our struggle to preserve life's most precious resources, forest, land, and water. We continue, determined to speak about human lives over the loud noise being made for profits and costs. We believe that solidarity is the strongest weapon people have. We have awoken. We are speaking out. We are taking a stand. We are experiencing the heavy cost, the same cost our land base is undergoing. We are the environment currently under attack. We are sending out an SOS to each of you, because Canada is her citizens, her people. Don't allow our homeland, the homeland of Aristotle, to become another wasted Eldorado. We call on you to raise your voice and stand in solidarity. Let government and corporate partnerships know that we will not stand by while our earth is bought and sold in market tactics and stock exchanges. Together, let's create such human exchange that our global village can live in true partnership.
Σφαίρες και τα κανόνια